Hey, what's up, guys? I know I haven't made a video in yeah, we're not gonna talk about that. I haven't made a video in forever. I am a little bit salty about DN though. Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate because I used to play on DN quite a bit. It's a lot harder to play the game, obviously, without the images. So ban list season. I don't know why Konami's taking forever to get their ban list out. The OCG has already released their ban list, what, like a week ago? Personally, if I was in charge, I would honestly copy the OCG ban list card for card and put it in the TCG. Yes, we would have broken cards like Harpy's Feather Duster, Monster Reborn. They have some broken cards. I will admit that, but it does make the game a little bit more fun and interesting because yeah, there are these definitely overpowered spell cards that would be floating around. Like Harpy's Feather Duster, I mean, you can't say it's balanced in any way. It's not. But you know, it would make the game more enjoyable, I think. I mean, they do have other cards like Solemn Judgment. That's kind of interesting. I mean, they have so many. Their format is just so different. It's it's really crazy. I'm gonna go over the OCG ban list, like, and give you my thoughts. I think honestly, it's like a really good list. I would definitely play under it. It's pretty much a balanced format in my opinion. I don't think anything is too overpowered. I like what they did to Monarchs. BA got hit. Obviously, Draco Pals got hit pretty hard. I think they have a pretty good format. So let's just review their list a little bit. I think it's really solid. They do have weird cards like at 3, like Cyberstein is at 3. I don't know if it would really make an impact with us, but you know, they have weird stuff. But yeah, they still have Goyo banned, which doesn't really make a lot of sense because Goyo really doesn't do anything. But you know, it is what it is. But overall, though, their list is definitely very solid. I do kind of like that they have Regeki at 1 and Dark Hole at or Regeki banned and Dark Hole at 1. It's definitely different. I mean, it makes but they also have Torrential at 3, Bottomless at 3, Book of Moon at 3, Compulsory at 3. So it's not like there's a lack of cards to play. There's definitely options, but just like being able to Dark Hole, oh, your opponent goes first, sets up a big board, and then you go second, Dark Hole or Regeki, and then your opponent's just like their field just crippled, and then you can basically summon all your monsters and go for game or whatever. So, but in the OCG, you don't really have to worry about that as much as there's just one Dark Hole floating around, and that's it. So I do kind of like that. I think that's kind of cool. We don't have that over here. We have more field wipes, but you know. They have Harpy's Feather Duster, so it's just like a totally different game. So for heroes, they do have Stratos, but they have one Shadow Mist, which kind of balances it out, I would say, somewhat. So obviously, masked heroes are very strong. Dark Law is a dumb card. I don't really like Dark Law. I think it's overpowered. I mean, let's be honest. It's a floodgate. It's macrocosmos, and you know you can also hit a card out of their hand when they add anything or draw. So it's really good, Dark Law. So it's annoying for decks to play against. Also, especially with only one Dark Hole, that makes Dark Law even better because the opponent can't out it easily. So they would have to basically play a trap on it or something. I don't know. It's more difficult to destroy. But yeah, they got Sangan back. That's not really, they. It's not really going to make an impact. It's not that strong. Thousand Eyes Restrict is interesting because you can instant fusion it. However, they do have Norden banned, so instant fusion really isn't as much of a problem. Which I do kind of like the Norden ban because it is very abusable. So I do kind of like that. Um, Armageddon Knight at 1 is really random. I don't really get that. But um, they pretty much crippled BA with Dante at 1. That's really hard hit on BA. They got Scarm at 1. But I believe, yeah, they have Graph and Seer L at 3. So, yeah, BA, I mean, you can still play it, but the one Dante definitely hurts the deck. They put Tour Guide at 1, which is obviously new because they had it at 3. Um, Morphine Jars at 1, which is interesting, although it would not see a lot of play. Empty Jar is still a thing, but I do kind of like having the card in general, just because like some decks could tech it, you know. I mean, play like a Morphine Jar. Your opponent really wouldn't see it coming, and it could win you a game, like completely win you a game with your opponent. Not if you if you just randomly run a Morphine Jar on your deck. I mean, obviously not all decks could run it, but if you could run it, it would be pretty much a blowout if your opponent doesn't see it coming. So they also have cool stuff like well, they have Monster Reborn. They have Harpy's Feather Duster. Obviously, Card Destruction is also at 1, which is a very broken card. Don't get me wrong. Here's why it's somewhat balanced. Yes, it dumps everything to your graveyard, which most Yu-Gi-Oh decks all activate in the graveyard and revolve around the graveyard. But the only thing that makes it somewhat balanced is the fact that your opponent also discards their hand. So most likely their cards will benefit being in the graveyard as well. So yes, it helps you out by discarding all of your cards and putting them into the graveyard for their graveyard effects. It probably will also help out your opponent. Super Poly is also at 1, which I could be wrong here, but I don't think it's that good. I mean, yes, you get a fuse with your opponent's monsters, and they can't negate it. Yes, I know that, but I mean, how many decks really use fusions? Not that many. Heroes, Shut-Alls, but nobody's really using Shut-Alls with Construct Band. Um, Super Poly at 1, I don't really see it as being that much of a threat. I mean, I could be wrong here, but it seems to be okay. Pot of Avarice, which is really interesting. I definitely like that card. I'm a big fan of Pot of Avarice. I think that we should get it back. They also have Judgment, which I would love to see Solemn Judgment, but I don't think that's going to happen on our list. The cards that went to 3, they get 3 Book of Moons now. 3 Allure of Darkness, which seems kind of interesting because there's so many dark decks. And usually dark decks are really strong, like in general, throughout the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! There's always been like a strong dark deck, so this allows more draw power, consistency to that. Other than that, I don't really see any of these as being problem cards. Basically, the best thing that Konami could do, in my opinion, is just combine the lists. Let's just go play the OCG list. Their list is really good in my opinion, and I think a lot of players wouldn't mind playing the OCG ban list. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me know in the comments section below if you guys agree or disagree with me, but I definitely think that the OCG ban list is really good, and I would definitely play that format. Alright, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully we'll get some news soon about what's going on. Alright.